Okay, guys, hey, what's up? It's been way longer than I thought it was going to be since I last uploaded a video. And I'm also recording this at midnight 30. So if I start like super duper rambling, apologies in advance. But yeah, it's been little bit longer than I meant to upload, but at least it wasn't like, 2 years, because I can't imagine myself ever doing something, so just heinous, truly. To sort of explain myself, I got accepted to college and I'm on my first work trip, and that work trip pulled me to a completely different state. I'm going to be here for like 4 more weeks-ish. So that's cool, but it's taken up a lot of time, so unfortunately I haven't worked on that critique video as much as I'd have liked to. However, it is still being worked on, so if you're waiting for that, it is coming. If this feels clunky or out of order, I'm sorry. I'm still working out how to do these video intros, so just bear with me for now while we go through these growing pains, but welcome back if you've been here before, or if you're new here to my channel. Dude. I'm a hobby artist. English. I'm a hobby artist. When I'm not drawing, I'm usually working on airplanes or hanging out with my boyfriend and our son. He is a black lab, not a human child. But if you like speed paints, tutorials, and the ramblings of a little creature, then subscribe. And speaking of ramblings, that's what we're here for today. So if we're not in a rambling mood, it's all good. Mute the video, put on music, and just enjoy the speed paint. But I felt the need to talk about these drawings because these are definitely not the most controversial thing out there, but they're gonna piss some people off because, yeah, it's out of character. I'm drawing 4 dudes who serve in the British military with fat tits, like. Anyway, in this essay, we will talk about fandom. Fandom is associated with a lot of things, everything from some people's worst childhood memories to making some of the best friends they've ever had. And I know I fall into both categories. I met some of my best friends I still talk to today through franchises like Pokemon, specifically the Pokemon Tumblr roleplay community back when Sun and Moon dropped, and I was fucking all over that shit because I am Hawaiian, and I was like, oh hell yeah. But so that was pretty cool. Met some lifelong friends. That's what got me into art. I've talked about that a little bit. But fandom has also inspired some of the most embarrassing moments of my life. Like, being 12 years old and never closing tabs and not being smart enough to hide my AO3 links in, like, my notes or something. And my mom finding out I was reading Yaoi Smut on my iPod Touch. But that's a story for another day. There's a lot of ideas with fandom that I'll probably ramble about in later videos, but what I really want to talk about today is why fandom is so important when it comes to keeping franchises alive. I grew up in an era of calling just about everything cringe, even if you partook in said cringe, and I feel like as a result, people just aren't being honest with themselves. And truthfully, not to get like philosophical or anything, but if you're lying to yourself, you're going to be unhappy, you're going to take that out on people, and it's just going to be that same lame cycle. Cringe, unhappy, call someone else cringe, wash, rinse, repeat. I don't fuck with that. Fandom, arguably, is what keeps franchises alive, whether or not people say it's cringe. And don't get me wrong, sometimes it is cringe and people need to be called out for their toxicity and taking advantage of the communities they're in, but that's not what this video is about. Maybe one in the future, but not this one. Food for thought. Without fans, why would companies continue to feed the machine? Like, why keep making shit if no one is expressing interest in it? The most recent thing that comes to mind, which I haven't read or looked at yet, is Alex Hirsch's The Book of Bill. Gravity Falls has been off air for 8 years now, which just makes me feel fucking old because, my god. I remember watching the season finale with my little brother. It was summertime. I was in my sophomore year. We just moved to a new town. This show was a comfort show, and then it was like, hey, bestie, I know times are hard right now, but we're done. And my brother and I were honestly a little fucked up about it. This kid is 17 years old now, I'm 22, and we still talk about Gravity Falls, a damn cartoon, like, super often. A good chunk of the memes we send each other still has to do with Gravity Falls. While I was writing the script, he sent me a reel about boneless water and said this is some shit Bill Cipher would do for real, for real. Anyway, tangents. The book took a lot of websites by storm. or not websites, but like social media. It took social media by storm, and I couldn't tell you if it's just because of my algorithm or the content my friends also interact with, but for a solid day, this shit took over all of my feed, between Instagram, Twitter, and definitely and unsurprisingly, Tumblr. This fandom has stayed relatively active, and I think that's what allowed and encouraged Hirsch to produce this in the first place. According to Google Analytics, the words Gravity Falls maintained a steady 20% of its peak popularity since the show went off air prior to the book release. And that's just Google search engine, so that's not counting other social media sites where people are still posting about it, still using the Gravity Falls hashtag, still using hashtags relating to those characters, you know? It's really impressive. The show has been off for 8 years, and it still has a very active fan base. The same goes for franchises like Harry Potter. Just disconnected from the writer. I'm supporting y'all Potterheads, but she's yeah. If people hadn't continued being obsessed with that world building and the story, do y'all think we would have gotten Fantastic Beasts? And just being clear, I'm not a Potterhead. I desperately tried to read the books like 4 times now. I've tried watching the movies, and I can't get into it for some reason. So truth be told, I don't actually know how the fandom received Fantastic Beasts, so if you are a Potterhead, please let me know how you felt about the movies, because I don't know. Google says it got good ratings, but, you know, let's be real. And we'll get into that later when I start talking about Halo, because... Anyway, the franchise also got a game adaptation, which from what I've heard and seen of the gameplay, Hogwarts Legacy was pretty fucking good. And again, I truly believe if fans hadn't stayed with these franchises, you know, Gravity Falls and Harry Potter, for so long, that they wouldn't have gotten this level of attention, and big media producing companies wouldn't have invested as much time and money into them. So long story short, if the fandoms weren't active, I don't think we would have gotten these new books, movies, or games. Stepping into the gamer land, my home, what got me into all of this shit in the first place. Halo. I fucking love Halo. Mine and Kaylin's first Halo game, if I recall correctly, was Reach. It was either Reach or 2, I can't remember, but we started playing those games split screens since we were 4 and 10 respectively. Started with Call of Duty, moved to Halo when we discovered split screen co-op, like we still play through the stories over 10 years later. When Halo 5 came out and it wasn't split screen, I actually got so fucking mad I didn't touch that game for almost 2 years. Because like that time to play with my little bro in the same room looking at the same screen was sacred. So we went back to Minecraft like real gamers. Again, another tangent, but I'm walking down some really good memory lanes with this one. But yeah, as most of you know, Halo actually got a show. Yay! No, it was dog shit. Like, I won't lie. I didn't watch the show. I watched clips, but I was so unimpressed with the attitudes of the people who were running the show, and especially during their interviews, and just, it was almost like they were adamant that the original story was bad. And as someone who dedicated time to playing every game and reading the books, fuck you, dude. But in my honest opinion, this is a case of a fandom W, guys. I am so sorry to all my girlies who love the show, but what you got wasn't Halo. It was a decent sci-fi show branded as Halo in an attempt to drag in a larger audience. But unfortunately, that audience is very, very invested in source material. And I still remember the day my little brother walked into my room, deadpan, in the doorway, looks at me. I'm fucking drawing. I look up and he just deadpan. Master Chief fucks. What? Sorry, I can't be loud because, you know, I'm in a hotel right now and it's midnight 40 now. But yeah, I was appalled. I would not be as mad at this show if not for the fact that it was fucking labeled Halo. But this is a rant for another day. Halo gets show, gamers celebrate. Show is not true to source material, people get mad, ratings are decent due to, like I said, it's a decent show. If removed from Halo as a title, ratings from longtime fans are poor, Paramount Plus is losing money, they cut the show as it's not as successful as they need it to be. And I can guarantee you, if that show had been more true to source material, dude, personally, I'd be on that shit like cheese on Mac, like on God, dude. And just scanning through the Halo and Halo TV subreddits, I can see a lot of people have very similar sentiments. If they had pandered to their fan base, that show, and you know, in my opinion, had the potential to be one of the biggest moments in television since Game of Thrones. Do I have numbers to back that up? No. Am I speaking out of my ass? A little bit. I love the Halo franchise. I know a lot of people who do, and I don't appreciate that level of disrespect. So for me, I'm celebrating the fact that that shit's gone. Anyway, I think the biggest game to film fandom win, though, which ironically did come from Paramount, so I'm appalled as to how they didn't do this for Halo, but Sonic. We all remember the original horrific Sonic design that took Twitter by storm back in the day. The fact they actually listened to fan response and went back to change the character model was just so fucking cool, dude. Like, props to y'all for that one. That was chef's kiss. Thank you guys for listening to the general public on that one. I don't know if the movies would have been successful enough for 2 more movies if they hadn't done that. Like, for example, due to... Oh my god, I'm getting breathless. Whew. You can tell I'm passionate about this because I can't... I don't stop to breathe because I've been involved in the fandom space for over 10 years now. I grew up in it. So I'm just like... We need fandoms to have stuff. And I like stuff. I'm stuff. Anyway, due to the interesting tech and big names involved in the movie, the 2019 Lion King, the movie ended up being a top-crossing film. But how often are people actually talking about that movie? According to Google Analytics, that movie hasn't been searched really all that much since its initial release. I'm talking less than 1% of its peak popularity. Now think about that, right? Gravity Falls is a show that's been off air for 8 years and is still maintaining 20% of its search popularity, whereas this movie came out within the last 5 years. It's still a Disney show, and it's hitting less than 1% of its peak popularity, which is crazy because it's a top-crossing film. Now, I know Mufasa, The Lion King, is coming out 2024, but one, Disney is a media giant. It really doesn't matter to them if the movies... if people like what they're making. 2, it's taken them 5 years to even announce a new movie, whereas Paramount produced one and is working on a 3rd. And 3, just for some perspective, Sonic came out 4 years ago, Lion King 5. Paramount has 3.6 million subscribers on YouTube, Disney has 4.5 million subscribers. And here's the kicker. Sonic's trailer has 54 million views with 1.1 million likes. Lion King's trailer has 76 million views, but only 787,000 likes. Get fucking ratio, Disney. People had begged the media giant to not lean so much into realism and to make it more cartoony, which they are now ironically trying to do with the 2024 film, but they won't lean more into cartoony. They're just making some of the lions' facial expressions look a little more expressive. Which is, it's just an L, dude. Like, you guys have so much potential, and you guys are fucking wasted it. You guys are wasting it. Many artists have had great ideas, but Disney is fucking Disney. They don't care. And besides, I don't think there's a Lion King fandom the same way there is a Sonic fandom. So, like, I do believe there's a greater Disney fandom, but there isn't like, for Lion King specifically, there isn't like a small subsection that's like, ooh, Lion King, like, that's my fandom, like. So my hot take on it, if Disney actually had a dedicated fan base for the Lion King, I think they would have listened and changed and actually, done better with it. So I want to know your guys' thoughts. Do you guys feel the same? Do you think that they wouldn't? Like, how do you guys feel about it? Paramount, Sonic, hats off. Y'all really got Disney on this one between actually listening to your fans and the actual numbers to show it. And now, y'all, while we're still talking about gaming, which I know this is a bad segue because I mentioned Disney, but I also just talked about Sonic, so we're fine. This is fine. Warhammer, Henry Cavill. Need I say more? From personal experience, I got into Warhammer because of the fan art and the fan fiction, and a lot of people I've talked to in game shops share a similar sentiment. Either a friend dragged them into it, or they stumbled across media online. And now Warhammer is about to have its first television production with a man who genuinely cares and handles source material with love and respect. So I'm incredibly hyped for this. In the Call of Duty fandom, because I'm drawing Call of Duty art. Hey besties. I've met so many people who have gotten into the games by reading fanfics and fan art, and now to be released earlier than the usual trend for Call of Duty games, we're getting Black Ops 6 in October this year, and Modern Warfare And Modern Warfare Modern Warfare Call of Duty is very similar to Halo in that it is over 20 years old at this point, but because of continuing attention from fandom, both casual and, you know, gamers alike, we're getting to see so much new content, so many cool cutscenes, character interactions, small stuff in, you know, their battle royale games and stuff. It's cool. Like, there is actually really cool shit. And if it wasn't for a continuously active fandom and player base, I don't think we'd have all that. So consider my big titty 1-for-1 boy chibi icons as my contribution to keeping this fandom alive and healthy. Alright, yeah, guys, thank you for listening to this rambling. I don't have a lot of time to write scripts or edit videos, so I apologize for any mistakes I've made, if the flow is off, all that shit. I just really wanted to talk about fandom when I released this video, so here it is. Like I said, fandom is super important when it comes to keeping franchises alive, keeping things that we enjoy alive, and not letting things fall off and, like, you know, go to shit. Because there's so many cool things out there that we don't get to see more of simply because, like, people don't let themselves get hyped about it. Like, get hyped, show what you're interested in. These icons are available for free on my Gumroad. If you guys like them, just go ahead, click the link, maybe drop $1 or $2 in there if you're feeling super nice. Credit me if you decide to use it. Not necessary, but just knowing people are interested really makes my day. Alright, yeah, that's all I got. Share your fandom experiences and thoughts in the comments, and I'll catch you later. Bye!